Well, thank you, everybody. And before I start onto the story, I think that Libero is a demonstration of how interesting this industry can be and how much of a difference things can change in just a few months of time. I can be very frank that 2023 was not the easiest year for us. We had to make a lot of tough decisions, but surrounded ourselves around a very important core asset. And in just a few months, things have changed dramatically for the company. Obviously, lots of forward-looking statements, and I probably won't waste my time trying to sell why copper. I think that there's a lot of understanding that there's going to be a significant supply requirement, and there's not very many projects out there. And I want to talk about our core asset and the reason that I joined the company back in 2021 was specifically for this project. And just really briefly, it's the Mocoa project in Colombia. It already has over 600 million tons of resource. It contains over 2 million tons of copper today. And it's really, I believe, in just its infancy. And it is one of the highest, largest undeveloped moly deposits in the world. It contains over 200,000 tons of moly. That's about equivalent to a world's supply of moly in an average year. It's about a 10-to-1 ratio, but it's about 20 to 30% of the value depending on where moly price sits. So it's already a significant deposit. And one of the reasons why last year was actually a very tough year, but we know the quality of asset we have. So why this jurisdiction? Obviously, we're in the belt that contains 12 of the 20th largest mines in the world. In Colombia, including is the same Jurassic belt that starts in Peru but passes through Ecuador. I previously was the senior vice president and country manager for Corriente Resources and took that project through feasibility. It was sold for $690 million. And then I stayed on for 1 year with the acquirers and started the construction of that project. And it went on to be the first industrial scale mine in the history of Ecuador, a few months before Fruta del Norte. And obviously, Mocoa is in that exact same belt. It's an extremely prolific belt in southeastern Ecuador. That's Mirador, Mirador Norte, Pananza, San Carlos, and Warintza are in about 100-kilometer little stretch of that belt. To the north, it's not explored. Access issues really getting there, but that belt continues into Colombia, and Mocoa is proof how prolific it is. I won't go too much into Colombia, except for to say that copper is a big part of the strategic plan of the country to move away from its largest exports, which are oil and coal. About 50% of the revenue of the country's government is from oil and coal. It's actually the 5th largest coal producer in the world, and they want to decarbonize their economy, and copper is a big part of that. And there's a big push to develop copper projects in the country. But what we have been doing over the last really 2 years is using a formula that I really learned through developing a project in Ecuador, and that is to generate political will, you need to have strength locally. And anybody who's been following Libero, we spent a lot of attention in developing those relationships locally, and they have been a significant change for us. There were elections last year locally, and the new mayor, the new governor, the new municipal council have all been on a pro-development, pro-job platform. It's been a significant shift, and it's very important for us because for a project of this size and scale, it will always attract a lot of attention. So we want to make sure we are fully, I call it creation of the shield around the project to effectively move it forward. And I think that the project will be moving forward in a short period of time. So back to the numbers and understanding why we spent so much attention to get this project unlocked and moving forward. And if you look at this map, you can see, and I think I can get the laser, no, not really, but around that black circle, you see the dots. That's all of the drilling on that project to date is really on one ridge line. But the over demagnetized area of the footprint of the project, the porphyry belt is famous for its cluster style porphyries. We have identified at least another 8 targets. It's open in all directions, so we believe that this project will continue to grow to be one of the larger available copper projects on the planet. And before elections, presidential elections, we did start one hole. We wanted to make sure the project was moving forward. Obviously, elections went different. It became a very politically charged time, and we have left the drill on the hill, ready to go back up, but want to create that, what I called the shield around the project to be able to move it forward sustainably. But when that hole came out, it was about 1,300 meters, all mineralized from top to bottom. Numbers such as 800 meters at about a 0.75 equivalent copper. On a world basis, it was one hole. It was one of the 10 best holes in the world on a copper-only basis, and the only better projects really were Filo de Sol and Warintza itself with just one hole. And this is important because it indicates when this project moves forward, it will get attention. It doesn't even matter if the market continues to be depressed like it is, but it can have a batting average like some of the best projects in the world. And it's why we've been really using kids' gloves to make sure that we protect this project. And when it starts and moves forward, that it will be moving forward on a sustainable basis. We also have about 100,000 hectares locked up within the area, and we have the 4 main mining titles. Okay. So a lot has happened in the company since the beginning of the year, okay? We've raised a little over $5 million, so our treasury is full. We've been working with the local government on working on how to move the project forward together in an intelligent way, and I believe we're at the very last steps to get there. Our board has been reduced. I myself, Ernie Mast, many of you might know him. He was the CEO of Cobre Panama when it was Inmet and took that project all the way to getting its permits in place before it went on to be built by First Quantum and the first project in the history, industrial scale project in the history of Panama. So the 2 closest operating copper mines, Ernie and myself were involved in. He's a metallurgist. I'm a mining engineer. I have 25 years. Of those 15, I've been living and working in South America. And also joined by Robert Egmond, who is a geologist, and Jay are a very influential and well-known lawyer. And obviously with Michelle is a very small and tight team. There's been a dramatic change in what's going on in the company. I wish I could give you a little bit more details, but there is a lot of things going on. We're extremely well financed. And when Mokoa starts moving forward alone, we know that it can really significantly move the needle. Because recently we did, but in those financings, we've have a new key strategic shareholder. So Mr. Frank Justra has taken over 10% of the company personally and has been driving these last financings and is very much highly and going to be involved in how this company moves forward. We've cleaned up the structure. It's extremely tight, and we've seen a dramatic increase in our valuation, although fair from a very low bottom, but the price is now going in the right direction. The projects are about the point to start moving forward, and I think there's a lot more going to be happening over the year of 2024 at Libero. So we're in the right commodity. We have the experience to take projects all the way through to the finish line. We have extremely strong partnerships now, amazing geology, and I think we have a strategy to create significant value, a big significant value to our shareholders. So with that, I'll leave it for questions.